Funny friends, my funny friends, my funny, funky friends now. My funny friends, my funny friends, my funky friends now.
Starring Drew Harrison and Will Abeles.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of My Funny Friends. Sorry, we've been taking a week off here and there. It's the summertime. You know, we're living it up, trying to hit the road. Will's on the road. Will, where are you currently at right now?
I'm in New York City. I'm in New York City in an apartment that has no bed, no chair. I'm not even sitting on a chair. I'm sitting on an unopened blow-up mattress. Oh my God, I think it just broke. Yep. Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah.
So the air mattress is unopened, yet you've been sleeping in the apartment?
Yeah, I just didn't want to take the effort to open.
Okay.
the
Yeah,
mattress.
I was feeling bad for you, but now I'm not.
Well, it was
I'm
behind.
not
My
anymore.
dad has a guitar in the closet, and I didn't want to move the guitar, and I was just like, I can't do this. It's too much.
Ladies and gentlemen, my co-host Will Abeles, everybody, just
Hello.
doesn't want to even take the air mattress out. How you're in your 30s, man? You can't sleep on bad things anymore.
Honestly, my back feels good. My hips hurt a little bit because I got thorny hips, but my back's feeling good. I just want to take a second and talk about this outfit comp. Look at this.
Nope.
Look at us just syncing up. You know, they say when couples stay together long enough, they start looking like each other.
Nope. Mm-mm.
I think we're getting there.
Nope. You have a tan hat, sir. I have a gray hat.
It looks tan to me.
Nope.
But
you have words on your shirt. I do not. So
okay. Well, we're getting there.
Different enough.
We're getting there. I'm going to surprise you one day, and I'm going to have a gray hat. Was it an Atlanta hat? You moved, so I can't see it now.
Yes.
Atlanta hat,
yep.
And a nice black tee that goes all the way down to my elbows and not up here to show off my immaculate biceps.
When you know you got them, you don't have to show them off. You know.
Yeah, well, you know that's not the way I roll.
well, why don't you show us how you roll and introduce our lovely guest this week?
All right, time to botch yet another introduction.
I just want y'all to know that he is on what I've been keeping track. You are on a 4-episode streak of making the intro super weird. So let's see if we can break that streak. Break that streak.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to My Funny Friends. We are so excited to have our guest this evening. We were ships in a night in New England, but I've heard a lot of great things about him. I'm excited to finally do a deep dive into his comedy journey. Everyone, Shawn Carter. Shawn Carter, everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, hey. That's
Shawn,
pretty good.
Shawn, that clap and reception was definitely for you, but also, Will, great job.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Well, look what happens when you try, you know.
Look at that.
Yeah, you nailed it.
New York changes you. Keep sleeping on that floor, buddy. All right?
I'm going to keep sleeping on that floor. I'm just never going to get furniture, and I'm just never going to leave New York. I'm going to cancel the whole tour and just stay in this empty apartment for the rest of my life. Just doing this with you.
Shawn, I must ask before we get started, are you at a place that is furnished, or are you sleeping on? Is this just a comedy thing? I wasn't brought in on. No. You sleep on the floor?
Yeah, no, I have a bed, but I have a wife who requires a bed, and then she allows me to sleep in that bed. So
Same.
Okay.
If it weren't for that, I'd probably like prop my head up on like an air mattress box.
I'm not sleeping on the box. I'm just currently sitting on the box because I don't have a chair.
I like
not that sad.
When it broke,
Can't
it looked
even
like
use
you
it as a
deflated.
pillow.
You're like, ugh.
Oh, it did. It went down a little bit. Also, thanks for rubbing in that you both have wives. That was nice. Nice start.
Nice little subtle.
Yeah. We're doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should get one. I highly recommend it. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I tried that once.
Hey, man, sometimes the second time's a charm, you know?
It's true. I should say I'm only batting 500 on that. So
same.
Yeah.
Right there with you.
Yeah.
So look at us.
Get that starter wife out of the way, Will.
I thought I did. I did.
Oh, you just got to find the second one.
Yeah.
No. I got to do
the
the starter wife still. I still got to do the starter wife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I was that close. I was that close to having the starter wife.
Yeah.
Inches.
Yeah.
Inches away. Inches and probably about maybe 40 grand more a year away.
That's fair. That is fair.
I thought you meant you got to like almost the altar, like, and then you turned on your heel and ran away or
Will
something.
Abel's the runaway bride. Oh, I would love that.
I'm not gonna lie, I have contemplated going to a few weddings and just when they say the like or forever hold your peace and just not saying anything, but just standing up.
Mm-hmm.
in your lady boots.
Yeah, my lady.
So you're taller.
Yeah. And just
And you just go, is this not a good time to go to the bathroom?
Oh, sorry. I wasn't listening. I was
Stretching
listening.
my legs.
I was listening to my own podcast.
Yeah.
Well, Shawn, we always like to start out with a simple question of what year and where did you start stand-up comedy?
The first year, it was probably 2002 because I remember I was 21 years old at the time.
Nice.
And just immediately dating myself as an old guy in comedy.
I love it. That's why we ask. It's cool. It's fine.
Yeah, but it was 2002, and it was at the Comedy Connection in Faneuil Hall in Boston, and it was a 10-person bringer, which means that yeah. I mean,
God,
kudos for finding 10 people.
You brought half of Boston.
It was yeah. Well, I don't know if you guys remember what it's like to be 21, but it's so easy to get people together at that.
There
age,
drinks there, okay.
Know?
Yeah, when you're starting, that's a good point.
And especially when you're like, I'm going to go on stage, I'm going to do stand-up comedy for the first time ever. I mean, it was not hard. I mean, my friends were like, if you do it, we're all going.
That's good.
So,
you can fool them the first few times out. It's nice.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like after like the fifth time that they're like, okay, we kind of get it.
We're done.
Yeah, that's probably about how long that lasted. Like 4 or 5 times. Then it was like.
Yeah. Then they're like, all right, call us when we can be backstage at like a cool show.
Yeah, call me when someone famous is on the show.
Yeah, right.
Basically, yeah. And then that probably, I mean, my experience with that for real is probably like, it was probably like another decade until any of my friends came out again. And then they were like, oh, wow, that was a good show.
You've got better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like blowing their lines that like you do a consistent thing for 10 years. And they're like, oh, you're not doing this because you're insane. You're doing this because you're getting pretty good at it. Yeah.
Yeah. They just imagined me bombing 4 times a week for 10 years and being like, this is so much fun.
But
I'm going to keep doing this.
There are people that do that though.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, it does exist.
That's
I love watching those, like the comedy contests, like I mean, we've all bombed at comedy contests, but the friends watching the friends that are like, no, man, no, it was the audience. It was the audience. You're great. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I mean, I've needed those friends on my side too, so now I can look back at it and be like, oh, they're lying to you, but good for them.
Yeah, they did what they needed to do in that moment.
So how was the first time out?
So the first time out, that was that high, it was because it was a 10-person bringer. I mean, all my friends were there. I'd stacked the audience. I mean, I was over 10. I probably had 20 people there that night. And then there was a total of about 80 people in the audience, which, at your first show ever is pretty killer. And it's a big room, but even with how big that room was, it felt pretty full with 80. So it just went like way better than I would have expected. Like
instantly hooked.
yeah, like that moment where you're like, oh, I have to wait a little longer before I start talking again, because that happened like the first time that I was on, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Yeah. So that was my start. I mean, and then that did not happen again for quite a while, because then it was all open mics.
I was gonna say, how long did you wait? Did you go up the next night? Like, did you keep it? Like, how long did you have to wait till you went back up?
Yeah, no, I didn't have a very realistic view of comedy when I started, and I thought that people got discovered. Like I had this very Hollywood look at it of oh, you just go on stage and it's magical and somebody discovers you. So I probably went 6 months before I went on again, and then 6 months before the next time, and by the time that I was, I think, 25. I had started reading up on some comedy forums and stuff, which is a great place to start if people are interested in getting into comedy. There's actually some good advice in there. There's really bad advice too, but there's some good advice.
Yeah.
And somebody was just like, you have to go up all the time to get good at comedy. You have to go up 3 or 4 times a week. And that's when I was like, all right, I got to start going up more. I need to look up open mics. I started kind of looking at what comics are doing and like following their MySpace pages to see where they'd be performing. And I was like, oh, if that guy can get on there, I can probably get on there, like that sort of thing.
Yeah. That's a good resource to use. Yeah. Oh, I miss MySpace. Down with Facebook. Bring back that top 8, please.
Yeah, you gotta like let people know where they stand,
Exactly. Rank your friends, people.
Yeah.
I love that it was 8. I mean, because it's like number 9 is just sitting there like
it got a little crazy. It got a little crazier. Then you could type in the code. We all were like kind of computer programmers there in the 2000s. But you could put in the code. You could have a top 16.
Right.
So what was that like going from, 80 people first time thinking, oh my God. And then do you remember the first open mic you did at that time?
The first open mic that I did, the first show that I did that wasn't like a bringer, because Dick Doherty's had bringers that were like, right. It was only 2 people, but it was still,
That's reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine, and still at a point where like friends were happy to come out and stuff, so it was all right. But the first like pure open mic that I remember doing was hosted by Dan Hershon and Mike Kaplan together. They were co-hosting. And it was at Sally O'Brien's in Somerville. And I emailed them ahead of time. Like, it was an open mic, but I didn't understand anything about it. So my dog's playing with a toy. I don't know if you guys can hear that.
I thought it was a baby crying, and I was like, oh my God.
No, she hasn't started crying yet, but that might happen in the middle of this podcast.
This would be the second time. It wouldn't be the first.
Yeah. We have this dog that we just like found on the side of the road and we brought home, and she's insane. So
hey, well that's joy that's in the background. Then dog's like, I'm not on the street, I'm in the air conditioning playing with
that Drew positivity, making that glass half full.
Hey man, if it comes to dogs, I'm always positive. People, maybe not.
She's a sweet dog. What was I saying? Sally O'Brien. So yeah, it was hosted Dan Hershon, Mike Kaplan, and I didn't understand open mics at all. So like when I found out where it was, found the email address for Dan Hershon, and I messaged him like, can I come do time tonight? And then he was like, yeah, of course. And then I thanked him at the end of it. And I was like, I'm so sorry that I didn't do well, like at your open mic. And then every week after that for like, I think like 3 months, I would email him like, can I come to the open mic tonight? And he would always be like, you don't have to email me.
Show up.
Show up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's nice. He was cool about it and didn't just put you on blast. Like, this fool emails me every week.
Yeah. No, he was Dan Hershon's a really nice guy.
Yeah. And so is Mike. Mike's a really nice guy too.
Yeah, Mike's great.
Who else is bopping around at the mics and the shows at that time in Boston?
At that time in Boston, it was like, I mean, the names that you might know would be like Josh Gondelman.
Oh, yeah. I love Josh.
Like Shane Moss was around at that time. Aaron Judge.
Was Dan Bolger around yet? Or was
Dan Bolger? Yeah, Bolger was around like right when I started like going out a lot. That was when he won the Boston Comedy Festival at like 18 years old or something. Yeah.
Because I think I started like a couple years after him, and I remember like I've talked about it on the podcast before because just like watching him is just so incredible. But I remember I was like feeling confident. I was like at that point where I was getting confident in comedy, and then I saw him at the studio, and I thought, I'm quitting comedy. He made it so effortless that I was like, okay, I can't do this. If it's supposed to look like that, I'm not doing this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think when I started, there was this really nice mixture at Dick Doherty's when I was doing the Bringer show of these people that were like, it was like Shane Moss would be on and Dan Bolger and Joe List. And,
Joe, yeah.
And then there would also be like people that I was like, oh, these other people are really bad. So like, it's not like I can't get on stage. It's not like it's exclusive to just these like amazing people, but it was encouraging to see people that weren't good too. Like it was informative to see people that were good, because I was like, okay, that's cool. That's something that you can do. Like that's different from what I've seen other people do. But then seeing other people that were bad, it was like, okay, and also I could be better than that. Like
yeah.
Gives you something to strive for.
Like there's something to it, like strive for up here,
then also
and there's something to really just make sure that I'm not getting down there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, cool. So you're starting to hit the mics, you're starting to do shows more regularly, you're starting to like kind of get your crew and you're seeing people. Did you like hit the road or what actually like what made you even want to get into comedy in the first place?
I don't know. I was never like a class clown or anything, but just always enjoyed joking around. And that sounds like so silly to say, but I realize now as an adult, there are people that do not enjoy joking
Yeah,
around.
it trips
Like,
me out how many serious people there are out in the world.
yeah. And I just always liked it. And I kind of had a knack for it where people would like tell me that. And I mean, I know a lot of people tell people that they should do comedy, but like it was something that was pretty consistent. And eventually when like somebody that I knew, that's how I got on at the Comedy Connection, and because they like worked the door there and they were like, you're funny, you should do the show that they have. And they talked me into it. It wasn't something that I would have like done on my own, because it just seemed like, to me, I was like, that's not for me. That's like for somebody that's like really really funny and like very smart, and like it just seemed way out of like my league. And then when somebody talked me into it, I was like, all right, I'll just do it. I'll just do it, whatever. And when I got up on stage, I was like, oh yeah, no, this like forever. This is what I want to do. Yeah.
I need this always in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, there really is that like bit of a heroin aspect to it where it's just like a one and done, and it either takes or it doesn't take,
Yeah. I can't imagine going up and like not enjoying it and then continuing to like chase it. Like that would be so weird. But I imagine some people must do it. Like there's going to be somebody in the world that thinks that like, this is just going to be very lucrative for me. That's why I am doing this.
Yeah, you learn that one quick, I think.
Yeah.
You just go, it's got to get lucrative. And then you just go, it's never going to get lucrative.
Yeah.
I remember when I was so I started at Emerson College, and it was like me and like Blake Wexler and Max Fox and a couple other guys. And they were already doing it. So when I started, they were the guys I kind of like looked up to or whatever.
Yeah.
But I remember, and if this guy's still doing comedy, I would be absolutely shocked. But I remember the first time I ever saw someone, the middle of the set, they had like maybe a streak of like 5, 6, 7 bombs in a row. Mm-hmm. Right. And and when you're doing Emerson, you're doing it in front of your peers and your friends.
Oh yeah.
So it's a little bit worse in a way,
like
when you bomb, like when I bomb anywhere on the road, I'm like, I'll never see these people again. It's fine, Yeah. But I remember this guy bombed, and he was like halfway through his set, and he just stopped and was like, I don't need this. I'm done. And just walked off stage. And I remember every comic ran up to him, was like, you can't just walk off stage. You can't do that. Like, you have to keep going through with it. And I was like, for some of us, I don't think we need to keep doing this. Like, I mean, and I don't think I ever saw him do a show. I mean, maybe he picked it back up later in life. He wasn't someone that was close to, but I remember just like that moment is still just burned in my brain, of just that. Yeah, I don't need this.
You know what? I don't need this.
And I think, and I don't know, like, thousands of shows I've done. I think I've only ever thought that once, and I still did the rest of the show. You know what I mean? I knew it was going to suck for another 15 minutes, but I was like, well, I'm here. Like, I got nothing else to do.
Right. I don't know, man. They say if you don't think about quitting comedy all the time, you're not really doing it right. So.
Or you're an absolute sociopath.
Yeah.
Cool. So what's so you're just like, I mean, what was like happening? So you're like, you're hitting the mics, starting to do shows. Was there like kind of a next step for you? Like you start doing the road, or what?
Was there like a show in town that they finally booked you on? Like what was like kind of like the turning point from just dwelling in the open mic scene to kind of starting to do shows and stuff?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you know Boston at all, you know that like it's just a lot of showcase shows. So if you're not hitting the road, and then the booked shows, a lot of them, it's just the old timers are, if you're not moving to New York or LA, you're just doing showcase shows probably in Boston, with the exception of very few people that get the opening work for the old timers.
Right.
So the Comedy Studio is the place. That was the place to go to start getting some showcase shows that were quality audiences. I mean, people that showed up to watch comedy, and you could see people dropping in from out of town that were really good. And, like it was across from Harvard. So we got like a lot of Harvard kids that would come over and do comedy that would go on to do really well for themselves. And we'd get Emerson kids who would go on and do well for themselves.
Those damn Emerson kids.
So it was, it was a good place to be. And that was kind of like the next step for me, was going from like open mic at Sally O'Brien's, where Rick Jenkins, who booked and owned the Comedy Studio, would hang out every Monday night.
That's cool. I didn't know he did that.
Oh yeah. He would go there every Monday night and, get like a sandwich and a beer and just watch the show. And then every once in a while, he'd chat with the comics and stuff, but every once in a while he'd be like, oh yeah, you should come by Wednesday. I have a spot for you, if you want.
Yeah.
And that's how I got my first show at the Comedy Studio, is like talking to him at Sally O'Brien's. And Mike Kaplan had put me on to him too, because Mike was like, you should go to before I ever knew Rick, he was like, you should go to the Comedy Studio and meet Rick Jenkins, and he might have some shows for you and stuff. So he helped me out in that way. And and then I ended up getting in there. I never really went on the road much because you can't host on the road. Like there's no money.
Yeah. It's not the best money.
And then once you're a feature act, it's like, there's still not enough usually, unless you got merch. And I guess if you're going off of some savings that you have or something and just looking for experience, that's great. I would have loved to do that. I just wasn't in a place where I could, so I had to work. I was working probably most of the time that I came up doing comedy. The first like 10 years, I would say I was probably working 50 hours, 60 hours a week, various landscaping jobs, painting, whatever came up. That's what I was doing. So
no, I hear you, man. I definitely, for the first, up until this past Christmas, had that 40-hour work week where if I was doing feature work on the road, I was taking a vacation day usually.
Yeah.
Like I haven't had a true vacation. Like my wife's is gonna kill me if I don't take her on like just a non-comedy related vacation.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's like how it's fun to look at like a festival as a vacation.
Yeah.
Like I think, you can travel somewhere, do some shows, that sort of thing.
Yeah. As long as you're mixing in other vacations as well.
Yeah.
A real proper one. I took the route of let's just rack up a bunch of credit card debt.
Oh man,
and eventually it'll all work out, and then here we are.
If you look at it,
out, right?
Yeah, sure.
If you look at it like versus like taking on student loan debts, you're probably better off, honestly, because you could claim bankruptcy on your credit card debt.
I know. Well, there's like an odd amount of options, especially since 2020 and the pandemic. There's an odd amount of options to like get out of it. Mm-hmm. So you're kind of like, oh, I feel like I just kind of got a pass for a couple of years now, and this should probably be illegal, and maybe it is, but we don't know. What I wanted to ask you was when you started doing the studio, was Rick already implementing the like when I first had to audition there, they made me watch 3 shows.
Oh yeah.
And then after the 3 shows, he went, "Do you still want to do stand-up comedy? And if so, here's your audition date." Yeah. Was he doing that yet? Was that is that like a consistent thing he's been doing for a long time?
Oh yeah, he'd hand out the packet.
The packet. Yep, I still have the packet. I saved the packet. Yeah.
Yep. He did that, and he had
someone messed up that he was like, "I'm gonna make these people watch these shows first."
Yeah. He would say 3 shows, or like if you would send him a tape that was good, like a good tape, he'd put you on without having to watch 3 shows. And I don't know. I probably watched 3 shows before he put me on because I was kind of hanging around a little bit, but it wasn't like my goal. I wasn't like, I need to watch these shows to get an audition. I was like, I know some people that are going to be on the show. I'm going to go over there and hang out
there anyway.
Yeah.
Right. My 3rd show there, because the first 2 I remember I watched and I was like, oh, like kind of like same mentality where I was like, there were some guys that I was like, oh, they're really good. They're really like Bulger. I was like, oh man, this guy's great. But there were some people that I was like, oh, they're doing it, I can do this. Like, I'm not worried about it. But then the 3rd show, I remember Goldman popped in to do like 20, like Gary Goldman popped in to do 20 at the end and got in this huge fight with an audience member. And it like escalated to a point where the guy sitting next to me, who was besides Gary, the 2nd biggest guy in the room, stood up and was like, this is Staff Sergeant so and so. That's my best friend. You're not going to fight him. And I was just like, okay, maybe I don't want to do comedy. But it was also like a very like kind of had like a light bulb moment because Gary was the first guy I saw that told stories and was so intricate the way he weaved in and out of everything. And that's when like my brain was like, oh, that's what I want to do with comedy. So at the same time, as scared as I was about to see like a full-on fist fight happen. I was also like, oh, but I just learned how stand-up works. And then I remember Rick was like, do you still want to do this? And I was like, yeah. Like I'm in.
With all of my heart.
Yeah. And then the audition, I got wedged between Pete Holmes and Colin Yost. And I had to choose 7 minutes between them, and didn't bomb. I got past, but yeah, I have the utmost respect for the studio. Pressure. That's always been my favorite.
Do you still have the tape from that time that you were between those two dudes?
I bet I do, because I pretty much bought every CD, every DVD that he would print afterwards.
I think like going back and watching them is really fun because I mean, watching like the first time I was ever up there it's crazy to see how uncomfortable I am on stage.
Really?
But
it makes me uncomfortable to watch that video of myself.
Yeah. I showed mine to my wife and she was like, why would you do this to me?
Like, I wish I did not see that.
Yeah. But I think like it might be fun to rewatch that because I remember watching one set that I was like, the guy in front of me, and I forget who it was. I wish I could remember, but is a New York comic, and he just like annihilated, just absolutely leveled the room. And I went up after him. And I had a good set, but it was like, it just didn't reach the same.
Yeah, because the energy got sucked out of the room a little bit.
He did.
Yeah.
Well, no, this is the thing. When I watched that tape, dude, I'm like, oh, I killed, but it just felt like I didn't because the guy in front of me, like, it's a great tape.
Right.
But when you put it straight up against that dude that went on in front of me, and I was probably riding that wave,
Oh,
but,
yeah.
But like,
you're just in your head a little bit.
Yeah, when you're comparing yourself to the person that went right in front of you and they just like destroyed, it makes it feel a little bit worse than when you just watch the tape later and you're like, oh no, this was good. Like I should feel good about this.
Yeah, I mean, I know I have them somewhere. I'll probably go back and watch them. I just got to figure out how to get a DVD player.
I got a super old Xbox that'll probably work.
Oh yeah, that's what we'll do. I'll come over.
Yeah,
and we'll just watch old tapes of
It'll
me.
probably push my Xbox over the limit. It's like, okay, that was my last hurrah.
No, we can't handle this.
No.
That's great. So did you stay in Boston the entire time, or because for some reason I've always associated you with New Hampshire, but I don't know if that's.
I mean, I did some shows in New Hampshire, but that's like, okay. I mean, New England is,
Yeah, it's all like kind of a big.
Yeah, I kind of like go like Boston to Worcester to, like Manchester, New Hampshire, down to Providence, Rhode Island, Portland, Maine, and Burlington, Vermont, like that, all that stuff.
Circuit.
Yeah,
very fun run. Yeah,
I'd go to like a lot of places around there. I think like Vermont Comedy Club in Burlington, Vermont is like maybe my favorite place. Well, one of my favorite places that I've ever done comedy.
Such a gem. Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
I have not had the pleasure of going. Oh
man, it's killer. But yeah, but I was all around that area, but mostly in Boston, Somerville, Quincy, because a lot of what I did in that area was produce shows and host open mics. Like when Hershon and Kaplan left for New York, Gondelman took over that open mic. And when Gondelman left for New York, I took over that open mic and I ran that mic they left and went to New York after like 2 or 3 years each. And I was like, no, I'm just going to hang out in Boston. And I ran that thing for like 9 years, but I had a great time,
Yeah.
Did you ever get out to Worcester? Did you ever?
Oh yeah. Sean Connolly and
Sean is who pushed me to start doing stand-up.
Oh man, he's great.
Oh, I love him. And I love what he's doing with the Worcester scene. And I hope he just gets some consistency going so he can just, whatever his vision is, it can just happen, because he's just the best.
Yeah, they run like their comedy festival out there and he's always producing shows. And I mean, Sean Connolly is just one of the best guys I know in comedy.
Yeah, Sean and I met at a summer camp. We're working at a summer camp together. and I had done comedy, I think 3 times. And one of the tapes was actually pretty good. It was like I was like, oh, I'm pretty proud of this. And the first time I met Shawn, we're all like introducing each other. He was in charge of the brand new theater department because of course he was.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing he did is like we're all talking, and then he pretended to jump over a railing and faked catching his foot on it, and then pretend to knock himself out. And the first thing I thought was, fuck this guy. And then he became quite literally my best friend that entire summer. I spent almost every waking minute I could with him because I just loved him so much. But that's how we met. I just was like, this guy is a clown. I can't handle this shit.
So much.
And then he saw my tape and was like, we need to talk about stand up more. And he was a guide for me for a long time. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, and what a guy to have. He's a good dude, and one of the few comics that I know that could do something like that, to pretend to hurt themselves and not actually hurt themselves, because he's very agile.
Yeah, without having like any training in like a clown school or whatever, like he can pull that stuff off. He told me he used to do that to his brother all the time on the street. Like he would like be like walking and he'd pretend to smack his face off a pole and then like pretend like he was passed out, and people would start gathering around, and his brother would be like, please stop, and he would just commit to the bit and just stay passed out for as long as he needed to, just to get the laugh. Oh, yeah, great.
I mean, he's a really funny guy, but if we lived in a time of silent movies, he would be the biggest comedy star.
Oh my god, he'd be bigger than Buster Keaton. Yeah, he'd be huge.
Now, is that where you're originally from, the New England area?
Yeah, I grew up in Rockland, Massachusetts, which is like a little suburb. I think if you take the highway, it's about 15 minutes south of Boston.
Gotcha. And were you from like a serious family, or did y'all like cut up and joke? Like, is that where you got your like comedy base?
Yeah, definitely not a serious family. Yeah, like my dad was just, he's a union guy, just he'd bring home
crack jokes and talk trash all day.
No, dude, my dad couldn't tell a joke to save his life.
Oh no,
still can't. But
no,
he would bring home like printed out jokes that like were going around at work, and he'd like be like, read this joke.
I would, because your delivery was better, or he just because he thought it was funny.
He would just he'd just pass around the house like, everybody read this joke, it's a funny joke, and
he's like, I'm not even gonna butcher it, let's go.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not gonna read it because I'll mess it up or whatever. But he would bring them home on like little printed out sheets, and we'd all like read these jokes. So weird thinking back.
That's
on
hilarious.
It
My mom would print out some stuff like that, like she was a nurse, but she definitely printed out stuff like she worked at a cubicle. Like, I remember being very young when I first saw due to a current financial situation, the light at the end of the tunnel has been temporarily shut off. Like, that was on our fridge, my mom would print stuff like that out and put it on our fridge. It was great.
My Uncle Hardy would do that, but I didn't have any other relative. And Uncle Hardy lived in like California or Florida or both or something. So like, it was just random. Like I would see him like at a family reunion.
You say or both?
Well,
we summer in California, winter in Florida.
But he would like carry it with him and be like, check this out. And we're like,
I
have him folded up in his wallet. Like, I got a great joke for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd say I came from a family that is pretty much, there's a lot of joking around, not very serious, but they also like didn't think that I should do stand-up comedy as a job. They're still like, they're still like, no, get in the union, like get a solid.
We're a union family.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now, have they come and checked out the comedy club?
Yeah. They've been here. My parents came down when we were opening. They came down for like our soft open and to like help us like set up, really. And then they came back. My parents came back with my younger brother, his wife, and their 2 kids, and they all came, and we did some stuff. We went to like Dollywood and stuff, and then we they came out to the show. I put together like a clean comedy show just so that like my niece and nephew could come out to it, and like the whole family came out and had a nice time. So it was good.
Cool. Good. So that we don't jump ahead for the listeners at home. So what was you have a club in Bristol, Tennessee now. Mm-hmm. And what was the
it's a long way from starting to do shows and doing the the New England circuit, you know?
Yeah, from
Sure,
having
yeah.
Rick sit and watch you at the back of the studio and just shake his head
Yeah.
to Bristol, Tennessee. So what prompted that move? And I mean, how did that whole process happen? Because I just remember I want to say it was Alex Giampapa. Like, I can't remember who it was specifically that your club first got on my radar, but I was like, that can't be the same Shawn Carter. Like, that can't be the same guy. And then it was.
Yeah, Alex has played the club twice already.
Yeah, it's a great guy.
Yeah, he's killer. So this is how the club started. So back in 2019, I guess, my wife and I, we got rid of our apartment and, bought an RV, and we were like, we're going to go on the road.
Okay.
That's what we're going to do. And I had plans to be back in Boston in May because I was booked on the Boston Calling Festival.
Oh, that one's good. It's in Harvard, right?
Yeah. I mean,
it's a cool one.
It's a big event, but like as a comedian, like nobody's there for the comedy. So like, I got this poster, which looks really cool. And I didn't have to go have 1,000 people talk over me while I try to do comedy.
Nice.
So, but I mean, it would have been cool. It would have been cool to do, but
Sure.
not the worst part of what happened next. So we left Boston. We came down. Our plan was to like travel around, check out different areas of the country, decide where we were going to move, like check out different comedy clubs and different scenes, and
just wanted to change from
Well, Massachusetts is so expensive,
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were like, let's get out of here. So we stopped in Tennessee because that's my wife's hometown. Sarah's hometown is Bristol, Tennessee. And we were visiting, and I went and I did a show at Zany's in Nashville, and then we came back. And when we came back, everything had shut down. The pandemic hit.
Yeah.
I don't even know, was it 2019, 2020? I mean, it's such a blur at this point.
Right.
Yeah, right.
But just those years.
Yeah, that year that everything shut down. So that's what happened. We got back here, and we didn't have an apartment, and we couldn't go anywhere with our RV because like campground shut down. You couldn't go camping.
Everything shut down. Yeah.
So we lived in my mother and father-in-law's basement for 6 months. Just like, I mean, if you remember what it was like, everybody was like, "Oh, maybe we'll be open in the
2
fall."
weeks.
Or At first, it was like
2 weeks at some point. Remember? I mean, it was
at the beginning, they were like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. If everybody does the right thing, we'll be back open. And then 2 weeks, 6 months later, we're just like, when are we ever gonna get back out?
Never.
Yeah, never.
Done.
Well, if you're in Florida, you were out.
Oh yeah, Florida, you could do whatever you wanted.
Florida's like, you said 2 weeks, we're back out.
Yeah. And to be fair, Tennessee was not the most restrictive place to be either.
Oh no,
which was
I've heard as well.
Which was like, for me, I thought was really nice because like, not that I was going to really busy places or anything like that, but if I went to Massachusetts and if I was in the Boston area and I wanted to go to a public park, I know a lot of people would be like wearing masks and like, because it's crowded. But if you went to like a park where I live, you're not going to see anybody probably. You might pass one person and you just like pull up your little dust mask or whatever while you pass them.
You pass them and then you go back
down. Back down. Yeah. So it was really kind of a nice place to be if you're not allowed to be like, I don't know, in crowded areas,
Right.
So
more spread out. Yeah.
Yeah. So we really started to get to enjoy it around here. And then, we already knew that we wanted to move out of Boston, and her parents are here. I mean, her family's here. So we were like, well, this is as good a place as any to move. And we started looking at real estate, and, the houses here are more affordable. Like at this point, everything was going up nationwide because remote work was like, you can live wherever you want. So things were going up everywhere. And I guess Airbnb, people are snatching up places everywhere. So cost was going up, but it was still cheaper here than in a lot of places around the country. Yeah. And her family's here. So we were like, let's stay here. And then there's no comedy club around here, no dedicated comedy club for, quite a distance. You guys are both familiar with the area,
Yeah, right.
That's all I know is like you usually just drive through there to get back to North Carolina to do shows.
Right.
Yeah.
I was talking to I was in Knoxville recently, and I was like, I thought what was so cool about what you did is bringing that club to Bristol is like we are like a club away in Knoxville from there being a very, very cool circuit between like Atlanta, North Carolina, and then just like Knoxville, Nashville, and Bristol, you know, and it and Richmond
Still
even.
doing
I
an
mean,
off night
even
in
Richmond.
Chattanooga. You know,
Yeah, here
Chattanooga, I mean,
Chattanooga's got a good club.
mhm. Yeah, it had a great club. So it's like I was really excited when you first opened the club because it kind of started filling in the dots of like, all right, I have to get from Nashville to here, and
Yeah.
it's 8 hours. and I'm going to lose all my money on gas and
Yeah.
lodging. And then you now have like a spot that's like, well, we'll stop here and we can hit this spot. And then you go north. I mean, it's a really great location.
Yeah, one of the nice things about where we're at about Bristol is that it is right off of like a major highway.
Mhm.
So if you want to stop on a road trip, it's an easy stop. Another nice thing about it is that it has a really nice downtown area. It's like 10 blocks just walking. Like it's an easy 10-block walk, and there's all kinds of restaurants down there. So it's really like a nice area. There's a couple nice hotels. They have like 2 really nice hotels that kind of bookend the street.
Oh,
Oh, cool.
State Street, where the club is located. It's the state line between Tennessee and Virginia. So
oh, nice. Yeah, I see
where
the
we
pictures
are-
with the weekend
yeah,
lineup.
Yeah. So we're in Tennessee, but if you just walk straight across the street, you're in Virginia. So, and it runs parallel to it runs right on the state line.
That's crazy.
The road does, yeah. So we're in a really nice area. We have a nice little downtown area, and we're right off the highway. So there's a lot of positives there. And yeah, people have been like really receptive to the comedy club here. People, some people have said they had a comedy zone in Johnson City years ago, but that's been gone for a while. So
Comedy Zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've heard Corey Knox, I think, was one of the first people I knew besides Alex that did it. And I mean, he was obsessed.
Yeah.
I know he's come back.
You got a big fan in Corey Knox. For sure.
Yeah,
that's
Corey.
great. Yeah, we love Corey up at Blue Ridge, man.
And he's got the right work ethic for it.
Yeah.
Like he knows like when if he's running 45 minutes on a show, let's say it's full or not full, he's going to still bring it. Like he kind of gets that part of comedy, I think. And some people forget, like, even if it's, let's say 8 paid tickets,
Win
it's 8
those
people
8
that paid to
people
see
over.
you. Yeah. Just win them over. They're fans.
More likely
life.
to get 8 new fans than a room full of people. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's true. Actually, directly relating to that, our comic this week, I think we had 11 on our Friday. Friday was slow. We had 11. Every single person that was in that crowd followed him on social media.
Yeah.
Because about 40 minutes in, he was just like, hey, if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, I would love that. And I think maybe we can get the whole crowd to do it. And they did. Yeah. Every single one of them did. So
that's fantastic. That's way more than you'd get doing a weekend sometimes,
Yeah, true.
So how long was the process from, I mean, like, what made you just like want to open the club? I mean, like, so what was the process from like starting, like, hey, I want to open a club here, to, oh my God, we're open?
Yeah. Like,
I mean, what was that like?
For me, having like run open mics and produce shows and stuff for so long, I kind of had like the hang of booking, and
the booking was like the easier part, right?
Yeah, I mean, booking is easy in that. I mean, it's tough because I want to get people in that. It's even hard to know what draws, because people love seeing a Comedy Central credit or a Conan credit or something like that. But
like a TikTok, and you're like,
yeah. It's hard to know what is the most popular thing to put on a poster, I guess. But
right.
But the more credits that a person has, the harder it is to get them, obviously, because they have a lot of options in comedy. But being a comedian, I know I'm like, dude, I would go do a show for whatever would make sense for me to make a little bit of money. So I was like, not real worried about booking. I was like, we'll get comics, like the quality or like credits might vary, but like there's good comics that will do shows for cheap because it's fun to do. Like,
and they just love it. They love it.
And they love it. Yeah. So I wasn't like so concerned with that. I was just like worried about how many people can we get in? What's our rent going to be? What's it going to cost for like insurance and, all that stuff. Liquor license.
I was going to say, do you have a liquor license? Is that something that you?
Yeah, we got a beer permit and we got a liquor license. And the beer permit, it's not like in Massachusetts. I think every state is different for this stuff. And
Yeah.
I think in Massachusetts you can get like a beer and wine only license, but here it's like beer, and then that's all that it is. It's beer, and it's only beer up to like 6% or 8% alcohol by volume, and then anything after that isn't covered by a beer permit. You can't have it in your club. So we eventually.
Is there a reason? Yeah, like why? Is there a reason for that? Like, did you do any reason, or you just were like, you know what,
Bible
whatever,
Belt.
that's the permit?
Yeah, I mean, probably part of it is because it's the Bible Belt and it's kind of like going back to prohibition. But I would say that anything over 8% alcohol by volume is just, they're really concerned with people getting like hammered and, you over serving people. And on a beer permit, they're really like, yeah, anything up till 8%, that's a beer. And then after that, it's actually technically, too strong to be.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that my dumb like IPA beer brain was like, what's wrong with like anything over 8%? like what's wrong with people drinking a 9% beer at a comedy club? I was like, oh, no, actually, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So
you want more comics to get attacked on stage?
Yeah. So we got the beer permit to begin with. That was not, I mean, I wouldn't say it was easy, but it wasn't expensive. A beer permit in our city is like $150 for a year. So,
nice.
Pretty good. But then a liquor license, which you need to serve wine, and everybody that comes in wants wine, or a lot of people that come in want wine.
Not a lot of beer drinkers anymore these days.
They
got your seltzer drinkers and your wine drinkers.
There's a lot of seltzer and cider, and so eventually we got a liquor license so that we could serve wine. We don't really have much liquor because I don't want people getting hammered and heckling and being a problem. But we got a liquor license to sell wine, and that in the state of Tennessee it costs more the less food that you serve during a month, or
goes by food sales.
Yeah, so like you just have to estimate it. If you're like we're going to sell $4,000 in food every month, then they're like, okay, your liquor license will cost like $500 or something. But if you're like, we're going to sell between 0 and 10% of our revenue is going to come from food, they are like, your liquor license is $5,000. So it's a big difference depending.
Yeah, it's a big jump.
And the only thing that we have in our club as far as food is a hot dog roller. So we are at that 0 to 10%.
You had me at hot dogs, sir.
I'll buy $500 worth of hot dogs in a month.
We're just gonna price them up a little bit, and I think we'll be all right.
How much is that hot dog? Oh, it's $45.
We're still at Costco prices over here.
Wow, that's wild. I mean, I know one of the clubs I worked with in Pennsylvania, I mean, they still don't have a beer liquor license because it was like $100K a year or something, and they just were like, we just can't do it. So it's a BYOB club, and I know that hurts I mean, they can rent other spaces in the back out, so they rent like there's like the green room, and then next to the green room there's like a tattoo parlor. So they can rent it out and stuff, but that's like how they're trying to get by. But they still haven't. I mean, they've been open for like probably 4 or 5 years, and they still haven't been able to like.
Did you say this is in Pennsylvania?
Mm-hmm.
It's not the Church of Satires.
It is the Church of Satire.
Yeah,
I love those dudes. Yeah,
I have not been there, but I somehow like came across them online.
That's a great name.
But yeah, it's unfortunate because. They don't have any problem with ticket sales. They always sell their shows out and everything, but they can't get a liquor license. And it's just like people are bringing in their Bud Lights on the street,
Yeah.
And it makes it a little bit unpredictable too, because you can't cut anybody off when they're just like drinking their own 6-pack.
Yeah, they like take away their cooler.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Like, no more for you.
Because there was Derek Humphrey was headlining there once, probably 3 years ago, I think. And I went to watch Derek, and this woman was the drunkest woman in the entire world. And Derek handled it with complete poise and grace, but she just like kept drinking. And it was like, how do you cut this person off in a BYOB situation?
Yeah, just kick them out, I guess.
Yeah.
But she also kind of made the show. I mean, Derek handled that so well that it was like, I don't know like how great the set would have been without her.
Don't you tell her she was helping.
Yeah.
I came up and whispered, I was like, you're helping. So do you have a certain moment that Who was your opening weekend headliner?
Oh man, this is a fun story. Our opening weekend headliner was Andrew Mayer.
Oh, okay.
And he's great, and
Yeah.
I just thought he was such a good fit for the room and for the area, and I got him to come down here for the weekend, and he's a good friend, so like he was
Yeah.
happy to do it. And let's see, after this, during the second show, he was like, I do not feel good, like the late show Friday night. He's like, I do not feel good. And this is like a fully sold out weekend. I mean, opening weekend, there's a lot of buzz. So all these shows are sold out. So during the second show, he's like, I don't feel good. And I was like, do you need to go? And he's like, I think I'm all right. And then he ended up cutting, like with 5 minutes left in his set or something. He's like, I just need to sit down. And he's like, I don't think I can finish my set. You guys have been such a lovely audience, but I don't feel good. And everybody was really nice about it, and went on their way. And then afterwards, we went to, because he was having like some kind of issue. We went to the emergency room. This feature act, John Baglio, he was featuring.
Oh yeah, I love John. Yeah,
yeah. He drove Andrew to the hospital, and then I followed them, and I went over there, and we all sat in the hospital together. I mean, the hospital did a terrible job of everything. They were like, we're going to take blood. They lost the blood. They're like, did we take blood from you already? Well, we can't find it. So anyways, it's 6 a.m. before we leave. We were up all night at this hospital. The next day, and Andrew was staying with us at our house because we have guest room. And the next day, I just wait till like, I don't know, 2 or 3. I hadn't slept because we have a baby at this point. Sure. And you get home at 7 a.m. You're not going to sleep, if you have a baby. So I'm awake all day. And then at like, I don't know, 3 o'clock or something like that, I finally go to the room that Andrew's staying in. And I'm like, hey man, I don't suppose that you feel well enough to do the show tonight, do you? Because I could tell he was still like out of it. And he was like, I just don't think that I can. And I was like, all right, so now I'm like headlining
your own
Saturday.
Opening weekend.
Yeah, my own opening weekend. And everybody had bought tickets that say like Andrew Mayer on them. So like I have to open the show and be like, hey, sorry he's not here. Instead, the club owner is going to do, which sounds so bad because it's like they don't know that I spent 15 years doing comedy before opening a club.
Right.
So we were like, if anybody wants free tickets to any future show, like you're getting free tickets to any future show that you want because you bought tickets to see Andrew Mayer and you're not seeing Andrew Mayer. And we had a sold out show and only one person took us up on that. Everybody else
okay.
like,
that's nice.
Yeah. And one of our reviews was like, we got like a 5-star review on it where they were like, the comic that was supposed to be there got sick, but it was still an awesome show. Like you should go to this club or something. So it was great. But Andrew, unfortunately, did not feel well. And he ended up like staying with us for like a week because he just was he had something like, it was like vertigo or something.
Oh my God.
I don't know exactly what it was, but to the point that like when he left, his parents came, they drove down or they took a flight down or something and drove him back in his car or something like that.
That's terrible, man.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think Tennessee broke him. I don't know what it was.
And he comes back once a month now.
I haven't been able to get him back. I'm trying to. I was like,
yeah, I bet.
When are you going to be ready to come back here?
So obviously that's a chaotic story. Do you have like a reverse story, like a positive? Like, is there like a certain weekend that you were like, oh man, this was the best idea I've ever had in my entire life? Or has it just been like, because I know on the club owner side of it, it's got to be like so stressful all the time. I mean, like that's definitely an extreme, but still just like a constant.
Oh yeah, the amount of times that I like refresh my email to see if we've sold more tickets is insane. Like people will be like, you have a problem. But I would say that, man, one of the things that we did when we started was we were like, we're going to have a stand-up 101 class. It'll be 8 weeks long. It will, end with a, graduation show. And that's like probably one of the best ideas that we've had because when you get people that come in, work on their stuff for 2 months and then go on stage, in front of their friends for the first time ever, they usually bring out a bunch of friends. So
Yeah, it's full circle almost with you, right?
Now they have
Yeah.
fun, and now they want to come back.
yeah, so that's kind of like what happened with our very first stand-up 101 class. We got so many great people that came through there that, I was like nervous going into it because I'm like, I haven't accomplished much. Like, why am I teaching a stand-up 101 class? Like, but I came into it and I met like some really great people, and they really took my advice, and, we worked on some stuff. And after 8 weeks, we put on this show, and a lot of them brought out a lot of friends. And, leading up to it, we have like 100 seats that we can put in that venue. I really think that it's best if we do like 60 or 70 in there, because otherwise it's like so tight that it's kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
We have 100 seats though. So, and we can put 100 seats in there. I think on like the Wednesday we sold like 30 seats, and I was like, well, that's not bad for like, a Wednesday.
For Wednesday. Sure.
And then it was up to like 40 and then 50 by like Friday. And then the night of, like, so many people walked up that was the first time that we had to just turn people away. Like that the person at the door, the door was like, we're at fire code. Like, you can't come in here.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So that one was
awesome,
good.
though. Yeah.
Yeah. It was killer. And then to have those same comics still, they're at the open mic most weeks, they're developing, to watch them go from like first time ever on stage. And some of them were pretty good their first time. I mean, much better than a lot of people that I've seen. Obviously, first time, you're not going to be like a seasoned comedian who has found their voice or anything, but there are people that were like,
see good points.
Yeah, exactly. And, now those people are like almost a year in, and, it's fun to watch them like write new bits and like, develop. So
take risks.
Yeah. So that's the best thing that we've done, is like have that comedy class. Yeah.
Yeah. We're getting a bit of that in Nashville right now because the classes are back and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the guys that are now teaching are being active about, okay, we finished the class. Now come to the open mic.
Mm-hmm.
And so the rest of us are benefiting because we're going to an open mic with a full audience there because their friends want to come see them do an open mic.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple of guys that I've seen that like I've never seen before, but there was this college kid I saw a couple of weeks ago that he was talking about college stuff, and I like, I could connect to it going back into my past a little bit, but for the most part, I was
You're
like,
still
these
a
are all
college kid, Will.
yeah, I mean, yeah. That's
what
fair.
are you sitting on right now?
All right, well, fun. See you guys. But it was cool watching because he was very natural, and I was like, when he gets out of college and he starts talking about real world stuff, this is going to be a very good comic. But we're getting that now. It's fun to see. It's fun to watch and watch them grow and all that stuff.
Man, I mean, it's such a weird thing, like the college thing, like it's like you have nothing to talk about other than college, but it's like when you hire somebody for college, that's the exact person that you should hire for it.
Right. Because
by the time you get ready to do college shows, you kind of aren't relatable.
You have no idea what to talk to. You're like, do you guys?
You're like aged out of it. By
anybody
the time
married? Huh? Where's my relationships at? Huh?
Hey, what do you guys think about the January 6th trials?
You guys voted yet and ruined the country? Huh?
When I first graduated from Emerson and I went to do the studio for the first time after being a college student, I remember doing college jokes. That's all I had. And my heart was like, you're not in this anymore. This isn't you anymore. And I just bombed my face off. And all Rick said was like, I think you're becoming too New York. And I was like, I didn't even live in New York yet. I didn't move to New York for like 4 more months, but that was the first thing Rick said. Like, you're just becoming too New York. And I was like, I don't know. I have no idea what that means. I've been doing comedy for a year.
Well, I'm surprised that you didn't do the studio until after you graduated. I mean, if you were in Boston.
Well, I did it when I was in college a couple of times, but I just meant the first time I did it after graduating.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, and then I did move to New York, and then I kept coming back to do the studio anyway because I couldn't get booked in New York. So I was like basically a Boston comic for my first time and my first year in New York anyway because I didn't know what to do. Didn't know what to do.
Man, that's the Boston move, is like move to New York and everybody gives you like a farewell show, and then you're just back in Boston every weekend.
4 weeks later, yeah.
Yep.
It's a good scene. It was a lot of fun, and I miss it. I haven't been back in years. So You got anything coming up that you want to plug? Any specific shows that you're like, let's get this out here. Let's get the people of Bristol and what's the town next to you in Virginia?
Well, Bristol, Virginia is right next to Bristol, Tennessee. But
oh my god, you guys got a Kansas City situation?
Kansas City thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Which I was just at this.
They're like,
it's nice.
Yeah, they're different. Like, I mean, different utilities and different, fire and police and all that.
Area codes.
Different laws.
Different laws. Yeah, I mean, weed is legal in Virginia.
That's crazy.
It's not.
That's close.
I just want that's just those towns like that. Just I'm so intrigued. Like if there's a dispensary across the street, can you just walk across the street and then walk back? Like what do you do?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I don't know that I don't think anybody I don't know of anybody getting busted for weed in Bristol, Tennessee. Like I'm sure it has happened.
I just know how Tennessee feels as a whole when they were trying to get rid of Delta 8. So I'm sure they weren't.
Yeah.
There's a big shop downtown that has like Delta 8 like plastered on the side of the wall. So it's like they are very well aware of the fact that it's Delta 8 is legal in Tennessee and it's being sold downtown. Yeah.
Yeah. They were just trying to get rid of it for a little bit, but they decided to tax it instead, like they rightfully should.
I'm like imagining like that scene in The Town where they like do that big, they rob this bank, but they end up shooting somebody. And then they drive all the way across the bridge and they're like all dressed like nuns and they're all holding AKs. And then they just make eye contact with the cop and the cop just turns his head. I'm imagining like that's the situation when like you walk across to Bristol, Virginia. Movie. Yeah. You just like
he
buy
ran
some
through
weed,
his
you come
choices.
back, you just make eye contact and you're just like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's worse things around than weed. You know what I mean? Like Bristol has
absolutely.
they have the same issues as any other place,
Preaching to the choir, sir.
Yeah, it's not a weed podcast.
Yeah. It's always been, baby.
Don't tell Alex Grubard, but we're taking over. We're going to be a weed podcast now. But again, anything you want to plug coming up?
Oh, man. Okay, so let me plug this because we're going to probably we might be a little slow this weekend because there's another comedy thing happening in Bristol.
Is Kreischer coming through?
Yeah, he's coming on.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's coming June 24th. So let me plug their thing and then plug my thing.
This will be. Yeah, we'll make sure we just tag him constantly when we promote this.
Look, I told them. I talked to his camp, and they asked me to help promote it because we have a club in Bristol, and there's no more targeted advertisement than you could do than that. So
why not?
So here, let me plug it for him. It's
okay.
Bert, the machine, Mr. Machine will be here, and Big J Okerson, Nikki Glazer, Mark Norman. I mean, what's his name? Joey Coco Diaz. All these people.
Is Aaron Weber on it? Is Aaron Weber on it too?
No, he's on a different one.
Okay.
Yeah, he's doing a couple other ones. He's not. He has been to Bristol. We had him on.
Yeah. I see. He was a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah. He got a standing ovation, which was pretty nice to see.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's good. So they're doing that at the Bristol Motor Speedway. It's like at their they call it like Thunder Valley. It's a dragway. Yeah. So
is he going to be standing on standing on a car just screaming at people as he just chugs
How many
Budweisers?
Tickets can they sell to that?
Dude, I mean, it's got to be thousands. I have no idea. Like the Bristol Motor Speedway itself is like 200, 500,000. I have no idea how many seats it is. It's huge. It's
I've driven by it on my way home from between Nashville and Hagerstown, and it's a huge stadium.
Yeah, it's enormous, and they can sell as many tickets as they want. I think. Like if they sold 80,000 tickets or whatever,
all of Bristol can come to the show.
Oh yeah, literally, because they just like move it from the dragway to the main thing. I think they'd just be like, yeah, well, we can. That's a tenth of the size of this at this point. Bristol is a town of 30,000, I think. I mean, it's not.
Oh, so it's gonna be a lot of people coming in from out of town.
Oh yeah.
Virginia, Tennessee, North Carolina.
Yeah. I mean, we've had people that have driven. We have people that drive down from Roanoke for our open mic. I mean,
really? It's like 3 hours?
Yeah.
God.
We have
That's
people
dedication.
that drive. Knoxville's Knoxville's like 2 hours from us. People coming from Knoxville.
At one point had that mindset, we'll drive multiple hours for.
Yeah, and then gas was $5.50 a fucking gallon.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we're not doing that.
Yeah. So that weekend, when they have that, what we have, because it will still be June, is we have our Pride shows that weekend.
Ooh.
So
hey, there you go.
That's
Support Pride and go to the Blue Ridge Comedy Club.
That's
instead.
right. Yeah. Or, if you're going to go to see Bert on Friday night, the 24th, just come see us on Saturday, the 25th. I mean,
yeah, there you go. Get a whole comedy weekend in.
Yeah. Do a whole comedy weekend. Go there on the 24th. Come see us on the 25th.
See all your straight white guys on the 24th at a NASCAR stadium, and then go to a Pride event on Saturday.
Yeah. What could be more fun?
Perfect. You balance it all out.
Yeah.
Who's on the show? Who you got on the show?
So Will Smalley is headlining.
Oh, nice.
And James Harrod, who's a comic out of Asheville, is featuring. Yeah.
Well, where can they follow and support the comedy club?
Oh, for sure. So we are on Facebook. We have a Facebook page that's probably like our most active thing that we do. I post on there all the time, and it's just Blue Ridge Comedy on Facebook. And we have a website. All our shows are up there that we have booked right now. So people can look and see what one lines up for them. Like, when are they going to be in town, or when, what person would they like to come see? And that's just Blue Ridge Comedy.
You're about to get Drew Harrison, suggest Drew Harrison quite a bit. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah. If anybody listening to this is like, book Drew Harrison, it would definitely be helpful.
Yeah. Hey, Will, can you email?
We're gonna have one comment. One comment is gonna be Drew's wife that just says, listens to it, just goes,
hey, you don't know her burner account. It's all good,
dude. You don't. I've had people email me like, yes, like same last name, like shared email account, like you should book this person. It's like, I know that you're just writing to get your husband booked. Dude.
There's a comic in Nashville who he texted a producer in Nashville and pretended to be his own agent, forgetting that producer already had his number. So when he texted her, she was like,
"Oh yeah, I got his phone. Don't worry about it."
she was like, dude, I plan on booking you. I already know you. And he was just like, no, this is not him. This is the agent.
Let me get him.
So strange. People do that. They'll be like, I'm emailing on behalf of my client, and it's like, well, I don't care where the email's coming from. It doesn't do me any good for you to have an agent. Like, if anything, that just kind of gets in the way of us like talking about things in a way that is like, dude, does this make sense for you? Does it make sense for me? Like, can we pull this off? Because if it makes sense for both of us, then cool. But I know if you're traveling, you need to make however much, and I need to make sure that I'm not overspending on. Yeah. I mean, stuff like that. But if you have an agent in the middle, then it becomes a little bit harder.
Yeah. Because they're still looking out for themselves, and it's like, well, I don't know, what do you want? You want to get paid in drink tickets? Like, what do you want?
See, it's a business decision. I don't have an agent yet.
Yeah, that's
that's what I'm going to tell my dad when I get off the podcast. Hey, Dad, just had a great podcast episode. It's actually a business decision to not have an agent.
Well, Shawn, also, before we get out of here, I know it is, once you open a club, it is very easy to have that be your main thing. But anything personally you'd like to push, any social media accounts that you like posting to?
Oh, I mean, if people want to follow me on Instagram, you can find me by searching, I think, Shawn Carter, Blue Ridge Comedy, and I post things on there of like me and my dog and my wife. So it's not always comedy related. Sometimes I post comedy.
Sometimes it's got to be about your life,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's nice.
I was told by
plus, I'm here for all the dog content.
Oh, good. Then there's plenty of that on there. Yeah,
perfect. Sold.
Yeah, I was told by a TikTok coach who I did not pay, which is a person I knew, but they said a lot of times with the artists, what they like is the non-performance stuff.
Yeah,
sure.
They want to feel like they're just hanging out.
Here's me and my dog. hanging out.
Yeah, that's nice. That's good to know.
Yeah, and then you post a video of a
And it
joke
does
you've been
nothing.
working on for 7 years, and, and then nothing comes of it. But your dog is blowing up.
See, that worries me because I've posted the comedy bits that have done okay, but then I post just like, "Hey, it's me." They're like, "We don't care."
Dude, social media is so it's so hard. Like somebody was like, just post a bunch of content, do YouTube shorts and TikTok because those are big right now. And I posted a joke. They were like, just post like anything. And I posted this joke that was like, in my mind, I was like, this is like not even a good joke. This is like kind of garbage, but like I'm just putting content up.
Yep.
And they got a bunch of views. And then just one comment that somebody just goes, this isn't anything. And I wasn't even mad at it. I was like, I mean, you're not wrong. I'm just trying to, put something up there.
The brave commenters on TikTok and Reels.
Oh man.
And that
my
one
God,
bad one can
I love it.
outshadow 20 good ones. Like
You
you're
can-
reading it, it's like, this is
nicest
funny, good
comments.
stuff, awesome,
Yeah.
keep going. This isn't funny. You're like,
That's why I love what Jeff Asmus does, where Jeff just reposts the mean comments, and it's like taking back the power.
it is
Yeah.
nice when someone you don't know stands up for you though. Where like,
That is
this
true.
isn't funny, and then someone will be like, man, what is wrong with you? You're like, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Never read the comments.
No, God, no.
Never read the comments. That's
But you do anyway.
You gotta
Tell
read
yourself
them.
not to.
Yeah.
Shawn, thank you so much, man. I definitely can't wait to come check out that awesome comedy club you have at some point. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for taking the time out. And again, congratulations on a year. That's
Thanks.
awesome, man.
Thanks for
Congrats.
inviting me on, guys.
Yeah, dude.
Of course.
Everyone, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Catch up on all past episodes. We'll see you next time.
On it, friends.